What better day to talk about where to best start reading Thor in collected editions in graphic novel format than Thursday. I am the Uncanny Omar. This is Near Mint Condition, the home of collected editions, and join me for my segment of Where to Begin. And welcome back, everybody, to one of my favorite segments that you all helped create. That's right, I took your advice after years of asking where to start reading certain characters, and I started making a segment about it. So this is where I talk about where to read certain characters or teams from different companies, whether it's Marvel, DC, and I'll be doing some independent stuff. Oh no, I did with the EC stuff and the horror comics. And I tell people where the best jumping on points are for these particular characters. This time around, I'm going to be talking about the God of Thunder, Odin's son, Thor. And it's not my favorite stories, because sometimes on these particular lists, I want to add my favorite stories, whether it's for Wolverine or any other character, but it's just where I think the best places are to start reading these characters for new beginners, for people that enjoy the movies or maybe the cartoons and have never read a particular character in comic books, or maybe they're DC fans and want to start reading some Marvel stuff or vice versa. So yes, today I am going to be talking about the God of Thunder, Thor. Now, one thing I'm going to make clear is that when I do these lists, I stick mainly to the main universe line, whatever is in canon, the 616 universe, or the different, I hate to use different Earths for DC, but that's a whole different stories. But yes, I stick to what is canon and not alternate realities. Towards the end of the list, I always add alternate realities as to like where I suggest reading these particular characters. So let's go ahead and get started. I happen to do these in chronological order. That's just the way that I make my list. That's the way my brain thinks. So my first suggestion for all you completists, the people that want to start at the beginning, Journey into Mystery. The classic Stan Lee, Jack Kirby, Larry Lieber stories that brought this particular character into the comic books. Now, if you are starting at the beginning, you have to know that things are a little bit different here. Not just a long dialogue, but also, this is when Dr. Donald Blake strikes his wooden cane on the ground. He transforms into Odin's favored son. That's right, Thor. So, that aspect of the story has not been used in the movie. So, you're probably asking, who the hell's Dr. Donald Blake? Well, it explains here. But you're also introduced to Loki, Ego the Living Planet, Ulik the Troll, the Wrecker, and then you have the Absorbing Man in here, the Destroyer, and you're also introduced to Thor supporting cast like Jane Foster, Lady Sif, Odin, Heimdall. And I'll be honest, that whole Dr. Donald Blake persona thing doesn't really get resolved until about issue 159. But this is where everything began, and of course, this is available in Epic format. It is available in Omnibus format with the newly reprinted and a Volume 4 coming out. It is available in Marvel Masterworks. Those are out of print, though. It is available in Epic format. I may have said that already. Mighty Marvel Masterworks. And yes, so this is widely available if you want to start all the way from the beginning of where Thor's story started. Avengers Assemble. This is for the people that want to start their reading journey when the character is already in a team and to see how well they play with others. Well, this is when Jack Kirby and Stan Lee took the Hulk, Iron Man, Wasp, and Giant Man, Ant-Man at the time, and Thor, and put them together on a team to go and fight against Loki. So Loki is the one that brought them together, and of course this is what was borrowed for the first Avengers movie, with the exception of Captain America. That comes later, but I think this is a really great introduction for people that want to see what makes him a team player and where the movie got a lot of the inspirations from. Of course, available in Omnibus format, but that one's out of print right now. The Epics have come back to print, Marvel Masterworks, and has been collected in many versions in trade paperbacks and Mighty Marvel Masterworks. Now we're going to fast forward some years, and we are talking about a lot of people, including myself's favorite era of Thor, and that is the Walter Simonson era. I know I put Ragnarok because that's pretty much where most of Walter Simonson's stories lead to. He's also joined by artist Sal Buscema, but Walter Simonson does supply a lot of the artwork, and right off the bat, he kicks it off with the introduction of one of the greatest characters, Beta Ray Bill. But it's not just the introduction of Beta Ray Bill, but also the introduction that, hey, someone else has the power of Thor. Someone else can pick up this hammer and become the god of thunder. He takes us all the way through Ragnarok with Sunder, and also gives us Throg. I mean, who doesn't love Frog Thor? And just takes the reader through this fantastical adventure through Asgard, Midgard, which is what they call Earth, and all the way beyond the Bifrost Bridge, including outer space. So there's a lot of space travel in this. So if you enjoyed a lot of the things about Thor Ragnarok, like Sunder and Scourge the Executioner, and just some great badass moments, look no further than the big inspiration for that movie. Well, I guess with the exception of Planet Hulk, but we'll do that when we talk about the Hulk, where to best start reading Hulk. Now, if you're looking for that witty Thor humor that you find in the movies, especially with Ragnarok and Love and Thunder, you're not going to really find it in this comic or any of the other comics. The comic Thor is not like that. I think the closest one, well, that will be Jason Aaron's run, which we'll talk about later. But don't expect that kind of dialogue in this particular run. I hate to misguide people if they're expecting something like Ragnarok Thor or Love and Thunder Thor. But this has been available in omnibus format. Now keep in mind, the omnibus has new colors, so if you're a fan of the classic stuff, stick to the trade paperbacks that were called the Walter Simonson Visionaries. Those have been reprinted quite a number of times, and most people are thinking the original colors are going to be in the epics, which are not released yet. But if you want it all in one, get the omnibus, because oh my gosh, it's such a beautiful and great story. Thunderstrike, but stay with me, because I know some people are like, oh, 90s, no thanks. But there's so many good books in the 90s. So this is Tom DeFalco and Ron Frenz joining forces. They had a very, very awesome and very underrated run on Thor, but they created a new character in their particular run of Thor, and the character's name is Eric Masterson. So he was an architect that was injured during one of Thor's fights from like falling debris, and he was taken to the hospital by Thor, and he keeps joining Thor on these adventures. During one of these adventures, he was mortally wounded and was given Thor's form and power to save Eric's life, becoming the new Thor. And this Thor will be the one that goes and joins the Avengers during Roger Stern's run. I just think this particular era is a lot of fun. You see a replacement Thor. You had seen it before with Beta Ray Bill, and it won't be the last time you're going to see it. But I think it's a great introduction to people that have never read Thor, because you're on the journey with this new guy that's trying to be Thor, and he still has the mind of Eric Masterson. Eventually, Thor, of course, Odin's son, comes back and takes claim of the hammer, and Thunderstrike goes and gets his own series that was unfortunately canceled. He had a cool getup too. I think they're borrowing it for the movie. But anyway, this has been available in Epic Collections. There's a couple of Epic Collections where you can find these particular stories, mainly the ones by Tom DeFalco. The Thunderstrike, some of those issues have been collected in a Thunderstrike trade paperback. So if you just want to know about Eric Masterson, that trade paperback's out of print, but it's also pretty cheap to find. The Heroes Return era. This is the first time we're going to see Thor renumbered to a number 1. Well, I guess Journey into Mystery was renamed to Thor. But anyway, it gets a little confusing when we start getting renumbers of new number 1s. That's why I do those reading orders. I did do the Thor reading order. Now, after the events of Onslaught, there was this Heroes Reborn universe. Pretty much the Image creators got to play with the characters of the Avengers and the Fantastic Four in their own little pocket universe. It was the Heroes Reborn universe. Well, it only lasted for a year, and when they came back to the Marvel universe, the 616 universe, they all relaunched their own titles. So Thor was now under Dan Jurgens and John Romita Jr. doing the artwork. Now when Thor returns to his proper home, he finds that Asgard is deserted and in ruins, but before he can investigate, is called into battle. Now, during a big battle, he's forced to merge with a paramedic named Jake Olsen, and he adopts a new secret identity. So think of the way that he used Donald Blake. That was like his human persona, and then there was Thor, the superhero. And I love John Romita Jr.'s artwork during this particular time. It really reminds me a lot of those Jack Kirby creations, some of the best action sequences that he has ever drawn, and some of the coolest and most unique characters that he designed for this particular run. And this particular series ended in another Ragnarok, and then we didn't see Thor for a while, but I love this era. It's available in, I believe there were thick trade paperbacks, not complete collections yet. And then there were the skinny trades and the omnibus editions. There's 2 omnis of these, but absolutely one of the best jumping on points, because you get a whole new just mythos with this particular Thor. It's still in continuity. He still remembers his past, but throwing in the character of Jake Olsen kind of brings in a whole new supporting cast of human beings. Jane Foster's still there, sort of, in the background, but she does play a bigger part later on. Godstorm. I don't hear anyone talk about this series by Kurt Busiek and Steve Rude. To me, I think this is one of the coolest introductions to the character because it's told in a series of 3 segments set in the past. The first segment takes place during the time of the Vikings, the second shortly after the formation of the original Avengers, which, hey, I recommend it on this list already, and the third during Thor's time as Jake Olsen. And they do it in a way that you don't have to have read Dan Jurgens' run on Thor. Now, these 3 tales are told to 2 Viking children, not just as cautionary tales, but also instructionary tales, kind of teaching them lessons along the way. This is available in hardcover, which is really hard to find, and in trade paperback format. Blood Brothers. I have no idea how many fans of Loki those movies have made. I mean, there was a TV show as well. Is it still called a TV show if it's streaming? Anyway, I've had several people ask me where to best start reading Loki, and I may make that list. I think Marvel has done a really good job with that Loki omnibus, just putting in the most important stories. This one I feel is important because this feels a little bit closer to that relationship that Loki and Thor had in the movies. This one is written by Rob Brody and is drawn by Esad Ribic, who you will see Esad Ribic's name again on this list. But this explores the idea of telling Thor's story through the perspective of his brother Loki. I love the analysis of Loki in this particular story. It really stands out to me as some of the best representation of who Loki is. But not just who he truly is, but also his motives, his character, and his relationship to his brother. This is definitely a story for fans of the Thor and Loki duo in the movies, and it also has some awesome kick-ass artwork by Esad Ribic. You don't need to have read anything before it because I think it serves as a great introduction to these characters. Available in trade, hardcover, and a beautiful gallery edition. Son of Asgard. This is another series I don't see on anyone's list, and I think it's one that's really looked over. It is written by C.B. Cebulski under the pen name Akira Yoshida, but that's another story, and it is drawn by Greg Tocchini. This is practically for fans of manga. That's the reason why I'm adding it on the list. This is one that I gave my cousin who was big into manga at the time, and he absolutely loved it. It's all about the teen godlings of Asgard. That's it. You see the rise of your favorite heroes from their first quest, joking around when they're kids, all the way up to godhood. It features not just Thor, but also some of the characters you may be familiar with because of the movies, like Lady Sif, who was just going to Sif at the time, Loki, Karnilla, Balder, and you may even see the Warriors 3 show up in here when they were younger. Now, this is only available in trade paperback and in the smaller graphic novel size books. Now, some of those miniseries I just talked about actually came out during the time when there was no Thor ongoing comic. The series that Dan Jurgens started ended with Michael Avon Oeming's run called Ragnarok. I think that was like the 4th time or 5th time we've called something Ragnarok. And then, we had Civil War and stories like that, and that wasn't really Thor. During Civil War, I think it was, we used to call him Clor. I think they ended up calling him Ragnarok. Another Ragnarok. But anyway, then Marvel decided, okay, we got to bring Thor back. We got to give him his own monthly title. So JMS, J. Michael Straczynski, leaving the pages of Spider-Man, decided to bring the God of Thunder back. And he was joined by Olivier Coipel, who has this amazing style. I love this particular run, and to me, this is one of the greatest jumping on points, because there are no gods. It's just Thor pretty much looking for his brothers and sisters, all the gods, and he's roaming around the earth to do that. Not only that, but Odinson is reunited with the mortal form of Dr. Donald Blake, and he leaves New York to go somewhere out west. I love that about this series because it's literally starting over. You don't need to have known the relationship between Donald Blake and Thor to understand what's going on through here. And now they must work together to try to figure out where the rest of the gods are and awakening them. And I love where Asgard ends up towards the middle of this run. Actually, towards the end of the first 6 issues. This is one of the best jumping on points with beautiful artwork available in omnibus format. It's available in trade paperback format. There's an ultimate edition available of this as well. There's those little skinny hardcovers. I really hope this year Marvel reprints that, or I guess next year reprints that omnibus, because it's one of the best jumping on points for anybody that has ever been interested in reading Thor. Heaven and Earth. One of the things that works so well about Inhumans by Paul Jenkins was the fact that he hadn't read Inhumans before. He had never read a single Inhumans comic, but it helped the story of Inhumans out. And I feel like he didn't read any Thor, and it actually helped this particular story out. And I'm a stickler for continuity. I appreciate people that do the research and history, but sometimes it works, and I feel like it worked here. Now, this is Paul Jenkins writing it, and he is joined by Mark Teixeira. He's joined by Ariel Olivetti and a series of other artists that create this miniseries with him that ask the question, what is Thor's purpose and why is he here? I think that is something that hardly gets asked about these days. I think people just take Thor for granted. And the answer comes in a form of 4 different stories. You have Thor confronting Loki on Ragnarok, Thor dealing with a hostage suicide situation. There's a big spiritual quest in this. And then you have Asgardians just fighting this big mythical Welsh dragon. And all of these stories are tied together by that question. It's a great philosophical journey for Thor and the reader. You get to go with Thor on this journey. And I really think it shakes up that idea of who Thor is or what he's supposed to be. Completely standalone. You don't need to have read anything before. You don't really need to read anything after, but I encourage you to. I mean, that's why I'm here. Now, this one is only available in trade paperback and a long out-of-print hardcover. Still easy to find. And another series I don't think gets the recognition it deserves. On the other hand, the series that gets definitely the recognition it deserves, The Godbutcher. This is the beginning of Jason Aaron's run, and he's joined by Esad Ribic. I told you it would not be the last time we saw his name. Oh man, this beautiful... it's like a perfect storm of creators just putting this amazing story together. This is what the inspiration for some of Thor, Love and Thunder is, and you're going to see it especially with the character of Gorr. It's a story that's told across the ages. You got a bunch of gods that are getting killed by the Godbutcher. And when I said across the ages, I mean across the ages. 3 different timelines in Thor's life. You have the young Thor, old Thor in the future, and present day Thor. And they're all up against this new / old enemy. I think it's a wonderful jumping on point for beginners that want to get into that long epic story but are weighed down by decades of history. And once you see Esad Ribic's heavy metal kick-ass artwork, I think that's the only way I can describe it, you will be hooked and you will not want to put the book down and you will want to keep on reading, hopefully. At least that was the experience that I've had with people that I've recommended this particular book to. It is available in omnibus format. It is available in oversized hardcovers, complete collections, trade paperbacks, standard size hardcovers. I think most people that will make a video like this, will have lists like this, will probably... This is the one that I think all of them will agree will be the best jumping on point. And it rightly deserves it, especially if you're into the modern way of comic book storytelling. Goddess of Thunder. Now, before I go any further, I do want to stress the fact that I am going to be talking about some spoilers. There's just no way around it. So if you don't want to know anything about this era, skip to the very next recommendation. But everybody else, yes, I am going to be talking about this particular era. And I feel like I'm cheating a little bit because this is Jason Aaron. It's the exact same run that I was talking about. I mean, renumbered. But he's now joined by Russell Donnerman instead of Esad Ribic. And oh my gosh, that artwork. This particular story finds Odin's son no longer worthy of being able to pick up Mjolnir and become Thor. So a new Thor arises. And there's a whole mystery at first, but because of the movie, I feel like it's important to talk about it. And of course, that is Jane Foster. She becomes the new Goddess of Thunder. She is the one that is worthy to pick up Mjolnir and become Thor. And this is a huge epic story too, and it feels different than Godbutcher, not just because of the artist, but of course the tone of the story. Because not only do you have Jane and her Asgardian compatriots just do this huge battle against Malekith, who's also pretty much just laying the groundwork for what will become the War of the Realms. She's doing all that while fighting cancer. Every time she picks up the hammer, she dies a little more. The cancer eats away at her. So it shows the true meaning of a hero. I think this is one of the best runs. Part of this is available in the Omnibus Volume 1. It will be in Omnibus Volume 2 whenever that comes out. I guess I'll find out someday and I'll announce it. But oh my gosh, do not miss out on this story. Available in oversized hardcover, available in trade paperback, complete collections, standard size hardcovers. It's one of the best. I cannot recommend it highly enough. And I know that it's still Jason Aaron, but it feels like a different, almost era of Thor. And completely worth reading, especially if you did enjoy Love and Thunder and aspects of Jane Foster Thor. 100% recommending this one. Now, if you want to see what Thor is up to lately, this is the current running Thor title, done by Donny Cates and by Nick Klein, working together to tell a story about Thor. Now, they were given the heavy task of following up Jason Aaron's run on Thor, and when Jason Aaron left Thor, he left Thor in a particular new status quo. It's crazy that you would give somebody the keys to that castle. But not only did they knock it out of the park, but they also made it completely new reader friendly with that very first issue. Truly a new legend begins here. This is the story of the Black Winter and how it's coming to destroy everything. So it's your new threat. And Thor has to transform in a pretty unique way. When you read it, you'll see. Plus, this is the chance for new readers to get acquainted with Beta Ray Bill, Donald Blake, and Throg. It's all in there. And the series, like I said, is still ongoing monthly. There's a big crossover with Hulk. It's a lot of fun. And it's the same gentleman that wrote, of course, God Country, and he wrote the Venom series. But I'm having a lot of fun with that first issue. I was like, how are you going to follow up Jason? Oh, man, that's how. It's so good. Now, this is only available in trade paperback. Hopefully, once it's all said and done, we'll get an omnibus, or maybe some oversized hardcovers just to go up there with those Jason Aaron oversized hardcovers. Now I have to talk about some alternate realities. So the first one I'm going to be talking about is Ultimates. Of course, I have to recommend this. This is Mark Millar and Brian Hitch coming together to tell their kind of modernization of the Avengers. And they throw Thor into this mix. Is he a crazy guy? Is he really a god of thunder? It's a pretty unique twist. And of course, oh my gosh, that Brian Hitch cinematic approach to his art 100% will hook people. It's an easy way to get into the character, but keep in mind, it is the Ultimate Universe, not the 616 universe, so a different Thor. Now, Ultimates is available in 2 oversized hardcovers. There's an omnibus. It's had a reprint, and I think we're getting another printing of it because that reprint went quick. It's available in trade paperbacks and Ultimate editions, which are those thick trades. And speaking of a different Thor, of course, I'm going to be recommending Ultimate Thor. This is Jonathan Hickman's run on Thor, drawn by Carlos Pacheco. Now, keep in mind, this is Jonathan Hickman before he was Jonathan Hickman before Fantastic Four, his run on Avengers, which we later dubbed Hickvengers. His run on, I think, yeah, this is right before Secret Warriors, and of course, his run on X-Men. So he was still kind of shaping the writer he wanted to be, but it's still an interesting take on the character. So you have 3 different times here. You have 1939, which follows Baron Zemo and his attack on Asgard. You have modern day Thor running around, and then you have the 3 sons of Odin fighting an endless war in the future for Jotunheim. This one I'm recommending for mainly people that have enjoyed Hickman's work, not just at Marvel, but even his East of West series. And this one hardly gets talked about. And it does have beautiful artwork. Now, Ultimate Thor is only available in trade paperback in a standard size hardcover. Believe it or not, it's never been in an oversized hardcover. Maybe one day we could put it with Ultimates by Al Ewing and put it into a nice omnibus. That's probably me and just my wishful thinking. Now, the next one I'm going to be talking about is the Mighty Avenger. I wanted to add this to the main 616 universe suggestions, but it's not in continuity. There are a lot of things that are different, but oh my gosh, is it so good. It's one of the best portrayals of Thor and Jane Foster I have ever read. It was an 8-issue series written by Roger Langridge and drawn by Chris Samney. This is before Chris Samney did Captain America and Daredevil and Black Widow. It's such a great book. If you've never read a Thor comic, this book has everything you are going to love about him. Even if you're a lifelong fan of Thor, this book has everything you love about him in it. But what really shines is that relationship between Thor and Jane Foster. The dynamic between the two is so damn good. It's sweet, romantic, and honestly, it's just adorable to see both of them together. I love that series. It's one that I hope we get an oversized hardcover treatment of, even though it's not in the main continuity line, but it would be a sin to keep it off of this list. Now, if you're interested in purchasing some of these books, check out our sponsors. If you live in Europe and are interested in pre-ordering or purchasing Omnis, then you should definitely check out Walt's Comic Shop in Berlin, Germany. They have the cheapest pre-order prices for Marvel and DC big books within the EU. Flat shipping of €9.90 for EU countries, extremely careful and sturdy packaging, emails are answered within 24 hours, and they have a superb selection of new releases and out-of-print books on their website. Just head over to waltscomicshop.com for more great deals and rare titles. And for a limited time, you can use the code nearmintcon, all one word, at the checkout for free shipping to all EU countries with your first order. Walt's Comic Shop, your reliable source for Omnis and premium collected editions in Europe. CheapGraphicNovels.com, your online home for graphic novels and collected editions up to 50% off cover price. They have excellent shipping and prompt and helpful service. Check out their bargain deals for up to 90% off cover price. And don't forget that CGN also takes pre-orders. That way you don't miss out on the hottest releases. And they are currently running a special promotion for you Minties. If you're a first-time customer, after receiving your order confirmation email, reply back to that email and let them know Near Mint Condition sent you their way. They will then apply a free shipping promotional credit to your next order in the US. Cheap Graphic Novels, your source for the hottest books with the kind of deep discount, quality shipping, and customer service that will keep you coming back for more. Now, that was my list of where to start reading Thor. Let me know in the comments down below what you would have added, what you would have taken out, and do you agree with some of the picks, or do you think something else should have been added? Should I have added more DeFalco stuff, Matt Fraction's run, Roy Thomas's stuff, the original Ragnarok? Anyway, I would love to know what you all think. Leave your comments down below. If you've never read Thor, I really hope this list helps you out, and I hope you keep reading comics. If this is your first taste of comics, is Thor. And also, check out our Patreon and Spreadshop. Great ways to support the channel. The description of the video has that information. And don't forget to smash that like button, subscribe, ring that bell for notifications. Everyone stay healthy and safe out there. Much love.